We are here this evening to talk a little bit about the dangers of alcohol as it relates to driving and fatalities and this kind of thing.
Just a little background on Learn to Grow and let's call ourselves the Fulton communities for change on alcohol consequences. A little background is what we look to do is we're looking to decrease the number of alcohol-related crashes and fatalities in Fulton County, specifically here in southwest Fulton County and city of Atlanta. The majority of the alcohol-related crashes occur between with those between the ages of 24 and 45. So that's why we're targeting that age group. And we also see that 33% of all fatalities in the state of Georgia are due to automobile accidents. And the majority of those automobile accidents occur in Fulton County. So this is a serious issue that everybody who lives in Fulton County and outside of Fulton County, the bordering areas, that it happens because it happens on all the 20, 75, 85, 285, all the surrounding highways. And we know that Atlanta being such a transit city as it is, that we all drive on the same roads at one point or another, no matter where we live at.
Ultimately, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, we do a lot of different things within the community. The 3 prongs of our mission statement include preventing underage drinking, supporting victims of drunk driving, and then also anything that goes under what we call the campaign to eliminate drunk driving. Everything that we do is surrounded to prevent drunk driving and to support victims. So we do a lot of things. We have victim impact panels where on a monthly basis, depending on the city, people are mandated, drunk driving offenders mostly are mandated to go to those panels where victims tell their stories so that we can give people information about drunk driving and implicate to them why it's a problem and why their actions affect other people's lives.
Well, I definitely would like to throw in there that in association with MAD and other organizations, that our unit, the DUI Task Force, as well as the Georgia State Patrol Nighthawks, their DUI Task Force, so to speak, we all work together to enforce the laws that make DUI a crime. We arrest a lot of drunk drivers, and we're all working together for that purpose, and we all take it very seriously. DUI kills hundreds of people in Georgia a year. There is a positive trend. The number seems to be going down based on some GOHS information, Governor's Office of Highway Safety, that's come out recently, but the number is still way too high. So we all work together, we to save lives, and a lot of people don't understand the importance of DUI enforcement.
One thing that people often think is that if you're in an accident on the freeway, that you're much more likely to die or be fatally injured or have a serious injury versus if you're driving on a surface street or a back road. So one thing to keep in mind is even at 30 miles per hour, you can be in an accident where enough force is exerted or where there's enough force to cause a traumatic brain injury. So that could leave you as a vegetable. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Speed is a factor, but it's not the most determining factor. The youngest driver that I saw was a 23-year-old, and he came in, it was on a Saturday night around 11 o'clock. He was a 23-year-old, I think he was a graduate student, and again, he was combative and he was difficult to control, and because of the amount of alcohol that he consumed, we weren't able to take him to surgery right away. The youngest victim that I've seen was a 9-year-old when I was at Scottish Rite. And fortunately, the child just had a few broken bones, but obviously, I'm sure everyone on the panel can speak to the fact that just a few broken bones is a lot less than what could have happened. And this actually, the 9-year-old was a case where the parent was driving and was under the influence, and my understanding of the case was that the parent wasn't so drunk that they were slurring and they were unable to walk. The parent had just had a few drinks. But I think one of the things that I've learned, I guess, from my medical perspective, being a medical student, is that there's a lot of stress put on alcoholism and prevention of alcoholism, but most people, including those in the medical profession, don't understand or process how even a small amount of alcohol consumption can inhibit your ability to drive. And you know, almost everybody drinks a glass of wine or two a night, and one thing that's important to remember is, yes, you had those couple of glasses of wine after dinner and you needed to run to the drugstore. That too could result in an accident. It just doesn't have to be on Friday or Saturday night when you were too wasted to drive.
I'd say most victims range between maybe 18 and the early 40s. I saw an 18-year-old girl who on graduation day was drunk driving a vehicle and rolled it repeatedly, would land it back on its wheels, drive off and hit something else, roll it, leave that scene until she got it to a point where she couldn't drive it anymore. And was upset because her father was going to be mad about the car. Not all the damage she'd done, all the lives she put in jeopardy, just because the car got destroyed. And she was covered head to toe in cuts because of all the glass shattering on her. And just different age groups, but like I said, I'd say definitely from about 18 to 40 would be the age range for them.
Though the numbers may report that people are getting accidents between 25 and 45, 25 and 44, it's up to us in those age ranges to set the example by changing our behaviors, so our youth will change their behaviors too. So it starts with the adults more responsible and who can take responsibility for their actions. For the last question, I just would like everybody to briefly give like a take-home message about how you feel personally or professionally about drinking and driving, alcohol abuse, or anything of that nature. Just a take-home message, how you feel it should be prevented, or what people need to be more aware of that we haven't touched on thus far.
I think one of the biggest questions that people often ask is, how much can I drink and still be safe to drive? And I'd say the answer for that, or the take-home message, would be nothing. Just because of the fact that everybody metabolizes alcohol differently. So many different things affect how the alcohol that you drink will affect you. If you haven't eaten, of course, one glass of wine will hurt you more than if you had eaten something. So I guess the most important thing that everybody can take away today is the safe amount that you can drink and be able to drive and not hurt anyone is nothing.
I actually have a hard time with this because I'm not a drinker. I've never have been, and so I have a very hard time understanding the mentality it takes for people to become impaired and then drive a vehicle. If that's your plan, just either don't drink or don't drive. Don't go out. I just don't see how it can be any more complicated than that.
I think a myth that people have is that you have to be an alcoholic in order to be getting a DUI, and that's not always the case. Not everybody that drinks and drives is necessarily an alcoholic or has any problems with alcohol. They may have had a couple of drinks too many and thought that they were okay because once again, their level of impairment is lower and they don't understand that they're not physically able to drive a vehicle. But for those that do have a problem with alcohol, who do it repeatedly, I think the most important thing to remember there is that driving drunk and hurting somebody or getting into a crash, even if it's a single car crash, if you didn't hurt anybody else, there are consequences for our actions, and we have to be aware of those. And if you know somebody who drives drunk on a regular basis or who has done it in the past or it has happened more than once, that's something that we all need to be responsible for and saying, hey dude, like something needs to be done here, something needs to be changed. And it's a problem, and you need to look at the person in your life and tell them that, because the messaging isn't just coming from an organization, it's a matter of right and wrong.
If you know you're going to drive, just don't drink, or get a taxi, whatever. A lot of people do that, and that's fine. Get a taxi, have someone else drive, and people need to know that they should be responsible for what they do. Like I also touched on. An enormous amount of people that I arrest are personally angry at me, and they can be threatening, all this stuff. I've had one person tell me he was above the law, a very wealthy person up in Buckhead. He told me directly. I mean, it was very disturbing that someone like that can even think that way. It's ridiculous. But he went to jail. But people get mad at the officers, get mad at people that are trying to protect other people, protect them from death or serious injury. So just I hope that members of the community understand that police and firefighters, everybody that's up here, people with medical professionals, we're all trying to help, and no one's trying to interfere with people's ability to have a good time. But you have to have a good time responsibly and set, if you know you're going to be drinking, you just don't even plan on driving.
I only want to make 2 points. One, alcohol is a drug. At Learn to Grow, we know alcohol as a gateway drug. There are 2 gateway drugs. One is alcohol and one is tobacco. The consumption of alcohol at any age is very, very dangerous. As Tyrone mentioned a few minutes ago, and I think it's very, very important, we let our data drive what our actions are. Our data indicates that there is a low perception of risk and harm as it relates to alcohol use. What does that mean? That means that if you don't think it's bad for you, then you don't mind doing it. When we start looking at alcohol crashes and fatalities, remember that when you from 24 to 45, that is that age group that we have identified as most at risk of having alcohol crashes and fatalities. But remember this, they didn't just up and start getting drunk at 24 to 25. They started earlier. We call it underage drinking. It just so happens tonight we are looking at that age group between 24 to 45. But we all know that if you're going to address alcohol in its entirety, then you must look at ages 0 to 100. We are in the process of looking at effecting community level change as it relates to alcohol. We are not about just doing a program. We're about engaging the community, getting the community involved, working with us, and all of us working together on one particular issue, and that issue as it relates tonight is reducing crashes and fatalities related to alcohol.
I think the greatest thing I learned was the 3 potential great statutes that could be passed in the state of Georgia or in the city of Atlanta to help reduce the number of DUIs. That was probably the most helpful thing to me, and I just appreciate Learn to Grow of putting together this town hall meeting.
I learned that 1 drink is too many. 1 drink is too many if you're driving. So as a part of an organization that is also working to organize the community around underage drinking, I was very, very pleased and impressed with what's happening tonight in terms of the partners that were assembled as panelists. And the information that they brought forth was very rich, and it's the kind of information that we need to take home, as was said, and share that with our loved ones, because we definitely all have a responsibility in terms of helping to keep people safe.
In a democratic society, the more social groups like this, the better the society, the healthier the democracy. And to have these type of meetings in a community really brings the community together. And having people understand the dangers of mixing alcohol and driving is imperative. A lot of people think that it's okay to drive if you have a couple of drinks. And the message that came out today here at this meeting was that it's not okay. And that if there's any real alcohol consumption, it's best not to risk it and best to make other arrangements for transportation. I think that message was pretty clear today with this panel. We're bringing the community together. The police department that I represent, obviously, is taking positive steps and significant steps to deter drunk driving, to arrest drunk drivers, and to help protect and people on the street and save lives. And I was really happy to be able to be included here today.